welcome to the Greek case study booth. Thank you for coming. We are going to present to you a case study that has to do with co-constructing a strategy towards sustainability. The system is a very intensive farming system, and the presentation is prepared by Alexandras Miniotopoulou and George Vlachos. The region, Imathia, is in northern Greece. It is considered a very productive area. The system is intensive, the farming system is intensive, and it is targeted towards the market. It's comprised of small-sized tree holdings and a lot of producers. The dominant farm production type is fruit orchards, mainly peach trees, both for fresh fruit production and also for canning. Now, this intensive type of farming created environmental issues. These include very intense use of irrigation water, a lot of expansion of irrigated areas, and also this also brings the use of agrochemicals, both pesticides and fertilizers. Fertilizers influenced a lot and created a problem of deterioration of water quality, together, of course, with pesticides, which also created such a problem, but also resulted in biodiversity loss. On the other hand, pesticides use doesn't only affect the environment. We also have problems in the area because of pesticides residues in the production. In order to maintain their position, and they have a very good position in international markets, export markets of mainly canned peach, farmers should be very careful not to produce a final product with a lot of pesticides. In fact, consumers in most of the countries ask for low to zero pesticide residues. So in order to maintain their economic sustainability, there is a need to achieve this goal. Farmers in this area are organized in producer groups run by cooperatives. This is not the case in all fruit-producing areas in Greece. A very low percentage of fruit and vegetables is channeled through cooperatives in our country, so we can say that Imathia is one of the few exceptions in this area. Producer groups and cooperatives in the area played an important role in processing as well in distribution of the produce for the last 50 years. Since 2000, a strong expansion of integrated farming is observed in the area. This integrated farming scheme was sponsored and run by producer groups with the active involvement of local private consultants, and this scheme is certified under a national certification label. The integrated farming scheme is implemented in the area for many years now, and it is based on standardized management procedures, systems of internal auditing, and also the compulsory provision of training and advice to all producers. At the current moment, more than 6,200 small farmers participate in 26 producer groups implementing integrated farming. That results to more than 10,000 hectares that are cultivated according to the Agro 2 standard, covering thus more than half of the peach producing land in the area. So as you can see, this area is quite strong in terms of collaborative ideas. After almost 15 years of collective action, which contributed in building mutual trust among farmers and esteem to collective organizations, which is, as we said before, not very common in the Greek case, in 2014, a collective initiative of producer groups and agricultural advisors promoted an agroenvironmental measure. This measure, that was proposed, consisted in the collective application of insect sexual confusion methods in extended zones of tree groves in Imathia. The objective was to eventually cease spraying with insecticides in a period of 3 years through full coverage of entire zones with this method. The crucial role of agricultural advisors was also emphasized even in the design of this measure. The proposal was successful, since the measure was included within the Rural Development Program for 2014-2020, and actually it was implemented. Currently, out of the 19,000 hectares in the area, around 6,000 hectares of peach orchards are under the agroenvironmental measure of mating disruption methods for pest control. Not only that, but this scheme was adopted by PGs in other areas of Greece and was expanded to other areas and tree crops, increasing trust to producer groups in the whole area and in Greece. Other collective organizations, like the Interbranch Organization of Cotton, proposed the inclusion of annual crops in such projects, such measures. Since the beginning, we decided to collaborate with a local advisory firm there, and these were our champion stakeholders. They were crucial. The role was crucial in our efforts. We tried to conduct research in the area because we wanted to understand, to clarify which were the drivers and the barriers in implementing agroecological approaches in this area. As we said before, it was a very intensive market-oriented area. What we did is we used the combination of participatory farm survey and the application of the 3 decision support tools in the area. Now, a total of 26 persons were involved in person interviews, and we conducted 3 workshops there, engaging representatives of local producers groups, advisories, services, fruit processing industries, and the public sector. Also, we had at the national level discussed these issues with external stakeholders and experts. These local actors co-constructed with us within the UNISECO project transition strategies for the development of a farming system that would respond to the demand of consumers for safe and quality food, and also for environmental friendly farming. And this is exactly the strategy that we're going to present later in this presentation. The strategy that these stakeholders co-constructed during the project. And let us start with the practices that stakeholders proposed in order to transition to agroecology. The first one was a narrower canopy system. This is two-dimensional. It has a linear form, and it requires structures. Trees are pruned during the summer, and this has a result of walls of canopies created. The rigorous summer pruning first controls the dense vegetation and also improves the climatological elements, even in the interior of the canopy. Like we have more sunlight, we have less humidity, we have less temperature, and we have a better airflow. With thinner canopy, the tree maximizes the capture of solar energy, reduces the need of irrigation water, since it reduces evapotranspiration, and prevents pests and diseases because of the good sunlight and the airflow, and also produces uniform fruit that have high quality, and they also ripe at the same time. What is left from the summer pruning, I mean the residues, can be spread on the ground around the trees, thus preventing growth of weeds, and also reduce losses due to evaporation, and that means they can apply reduced herbicides, and we also have reduced water consumption. Also, this system enables the mechanization of farming operation, such as pruning and harvesting. The second practice is growing of cover crops between the tree rows. By mulching and incorporating cover crops in the soil, creates organic matter, provides nutrients in the soil, and also this could reduce the application of mineral fertilizers, since it's what we call the green manure. Green manure also prevents the germination of undesired seeds, control weeds, and decreases herbicide costs, while it encourages the population of beneficial insects to proliferate. The third element of these strategies in terms of practices is the selection of varieties resistant to pests and disease that give us good quality characteristics, and also they ripe at the convenient time. By choosing high-yielding, disease-resistant tree varieties, we can reduce the applications of chemical products, and thus contribute to biodiversity preservation, improvement of soil and water quality, and also by reducing the residues to very low levels, or even zero, we can secure market access. Also, by trying to find varieties that ripe at different seasons, we can get a very smooth provision of production to the canning industry. Now, what did we do in that case? What did the project, what did UNISECO do in this case? What we did through our decision support tools, we tested uh, these agroecological practices. We did a simulation of these practices, and this showed that we could achieve significant synergies at the farm level, and our stakeholders could see the result uh, of their proposals in a simulation. These set of agroecological practices are considered very relevant for the Greek case study, and we have some evidence that they can play a positive role in sustaining the long-term economic viability of fruit farms, while at the same time they protect natural resources. Now, the second thing that we did is that we tried to identify the barriers that hinder this agroecological transition together with our stakeholders. So what our stakeholders stated and we all formulated together is that the first and most important barrier is the lack of social capital in the area. Although, to be honest, it is not in the worst positions in Greece, as we said before, but even then, stakeholders stated that this lack of social capital prevents collaboration, mutual support, and joint efforts, and that in turn creates lack of confidence and trust in agricultural cooperatives. The second barrier identified was that farmers and experts, local experts, have insufficient knowledge and lack of empirical data on the innovations that are related to modern cultivation techniques and also for agroecological practices when they are applied in local conditions. Thus, farmers and advisors have a feeling of uncertainty and they hesitate, they are reluctant in adopting novel agricultural practices since the uncertainty is very high. The third one is the third barrier that was identified was that the measures that the market measures and the policy measures that are applied, they're not sufficiently targeted. So both incentives and other economic support measures were not helpful in order to promote these agroecological practices. And also, there was inadequate information on market conditions on the part of the farmers, and that means that they couldn't get the signals that would push them towards adopting sustainable agricultural practices. Identification of the barriers led to the next step. Our stakeholders suggested incentives, policy measures, and market incentives that could enhance the situation, that could help the farmers at the local level and their organizations to overcome these barriers towards agroecology. And these proposals were scrutinized by national experts, policy experts, and they were also discussed with them. So the concrete proposals included a targeted rural development support for restructuring and modernization of farms, but this was towards collective investments. It should be targeted towards collective investments. What these investments should deal with? First of all, they could cover investment costs, like establishing the two-dimensional canopies, the support structures, and the whole selection of new tree varieties, and create high-density orchards, invest in mechanical or robotic pruning and harvesting machinery, and all these very useful things should be, according to stakeholders, made by collective organizations. Thus, they're going to be better organized, better coordinated, and also it would minimize risk and uncertainties that is related to individual investments. The second measure that should be taken according to our stakeholders is advice. Advice in order to create linkages between practice and research. Farmers need advice, first to manage the new canopy systems, and to find solutions that are applicable and viable to the challenges created by the novel way of cultivation. In order to do that, to get the advice they need, the role of advisors is crucial, because they are the ones that can link research and practice and help them farmers improve fruit quality and gain access to the market, or maintain access to the market through high quality products. The third element is cooperation. It is considered essential to establish cooperation among farmers' representatives, fruit processing, advisory services, and research institutes in order to run pilot projects, implement and test innovative practices on the farm. Why not create pilot farms and experimental farms that could be used later for demonstration farms, in order to create and disseminate practical solutions to farmers. These three, let's say, types of measures are considered essential in order to be able to transition to agroecology. And that completes this exercise of trying to construct a strategy towards agroecology with local stakeholders within the local multi-actor platform. And thank you very much for your attention.